The morning air was crisp with excitement as the annual Interstellar Culinary Festival opened its gates. Vendors from across the galaxy had gathered, displaying an array of dishes vibrant with alien colors and tantalizing aromas. The Earth section was buzzing, with Jack, an acclaimed Earth chef, prepping his booth for one of the busiest days of his career. "Everything has to be perfect today," Jack muttered to himself, meticulously arranging his dessert display a variety of petite, intricately designed pastries and confections, each a masterpiece. As the crowd began to swell, his old friend and fellow chef Marcus joined him behind the booth. Marcus was a robust man with a laugh that boomed over the murmur of the festival attendees. "How's the genius at work?" Marcus teased, clapping Jack on the back. "Just trying not to embarrass our planet. That's all," Jack replied, adjusting a tray of glossy, chocolate-covered eclairs. "You? Never. Those eclairs could win a prize on looks alone." Marcus chuckled, then grew more serious. "But really, how are you holding up? This festival is bigger than last year's." Jack glanced around, his eyes briefly meeting those of curious onlookers. "I'll feel better when it's over, and I'm back to my quiet kitchen." Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle but firm tap on the shoulder. They turned to see a young woman with striking features. Her skin had a subtle silver sheen, and her eyes were the deep violet of a distant nebula. She was unmistakably alien, likely from the newly contacted planet Zither. "Excuse me," she said, her voice musical but clear. "I am Zara. I could not help but notice your desserts. They are unlike anything I've seen. May I try one?" Jack, caught off guard by her direct approach, stuttered slightly. These are for the judging panel, but I can make an exception." He offered her a small, raspberry top tart. Zara took a bite, and her eyes widened in delight. "This is exquisite. What is this fruit? It's like nothing we have on Zither." "It's called a raspberry," Jack explained, warming to her enthusiasm. "They're a common Earth fruit." Zara's curiosity seemed to grow. "I would love to learn more about your planet's cuisine. Would you?" "Say." Her inquiry was cut short as a small commotion broke out nearby. A local news crew, eager to capture the event's highlights, nudged through the crowd, their camera aimed at the notable chefs and their interstellar visitors. Marcus, ever the showman, jumped in. "Why don't you join us for a bit, Zara? Learn the ropes from one of Earth's finest." Zara looked at Jack, who was now smiling, his initial reservation swept away by her genuine interest. "That sounds wonderful," she agreed. For the next hour, Jack and Marcus showed Zara various techniques and ingredients, their interactions becoming a lively exchange of culinary knowledge and laughter. The news crew captured every moment, broadcasting images of Earth's culinary diplomacy in action. As the segment wrapped up, Marcus said to Jack, "You know, this might be the start of something new for you. Teaching, maybe? You have a knack for it." Jack laughed, watching Zara as she conversed animatedly with some festival goers, her silver hair catching the sunlight. "Maybe," he said, the idea more appealing now that he saw her excitement, which mirrored his own when he first started cooking. Zara returned with a look of inspiration. "I must thank you both. I haven't felt this inspired in cycles. Earth has such fascinating flavors." "Stick with us," Jack found himself saying, "and we'll show you every flavor Earth has to offer." As the day progressed, the trio's camaraderie blossomed, setting the stage for an unexpected journey that none of them could have anticipated, a journey of shared passions, unfolding flavors, and the intertwining of vastly different worlds brought together by the universal language of food. As the festival buzz dimmed with the setting sun, Jack invited Zara to his restaurant for a more personal culinary experience. Joining them was Carl, a seasoned pastry chef known for his innovative spirit and a mutual friend of Marcus. The restaurant was close to the public for the evening, giving them the freedom of the entire kitchen. Carl was already inside, setting up his pastry station with an array of tools and ingredients. "Welcome to my second home," Jack grinned as he led Zara inside. "Wow, this place is incredible," Zara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling as she took in the sleek, modern kitchen appliances mixed with old, well-used chef's knives and pots hanging from the walls. Carl waved from across the kitchen. "Jack has told me so much about you, Zara. Ready to get your hands dirty with some Earth baking?" Zara nodded enthusiastically. Absolutely. Jack handed Zara an apron. First lesson, the art of pastry. Carl here is a wizard with dough. Carl chuckled, patting a large ball of dough. Let's start simple with some classic Earth-style pies. What do you say? Zara, donned in her apron, washed her hands and joined Carl at the counter. Lead the way, she said. Carl demonstrated how to roll the dough, letting Zara feel the texture. It's all about the feel. Too hard, and your dough is tough, too soft, and it won't hold. You want it just right. Zara mimicked his movements, occasionally glancing at Jack for reassurance. Jack gave her thumbs up, his attention divided between prepping a filling and watching Zara's progress. So, what filling are we using? Zara asked, spreading the dough under Carl's watchful eyes. We're making an apple pie, Jack replied, slicing apples. It's a classic, but let's spice it with something unconventional. How about cardamom? Carl raised an eyebrow, impressed. Going exotic, are we? I like it. The trio worked seamlessly, Carl guiding Zara with the dough, while Jack prepared the spiced apple filling. They filled the pie shells, and Carl showed Zara how to weave a lattice crust. Your technique is quite good, Carl complimented as Zara finished her lattice top. Zara smiled, clearly proud of her first pie. Thank you, Carl. I'm learning from the best. As the pies baked, the kitchen filled with the sweet aroma of baking apples and spice. Jack prepared a small tasting station with different desserts from the festival that Zara hadn't tried yet. While we wait, let's broaden your palate with some other Earth desserts, Jack suggested, presenting her with small portions of tiramisu, baklava, and a creamy flan. Each dessert was a new explosion of flavors for Zara, her expression shifting from intrigue to delight. Earth's desserts are fascinating. There's such complexity in flavors. And each tells a story, Carl added, leaning against the counter. Desserts aren't just about taste, they're about history, about the people who make them. Zara listened intently, her curiosity deepening. I could learn so much from all of this. It's not just food, it's art. That's exactly right, Jack agreed, smiling at her enthusiasm. Food connects people, it's a universal language that transcends worlds. So the oven timer dinged and Carl carefully removed the pies, setting them on the rack to cool. And speaking of art, let's see how our collaborative masterpiece turned out. The pie was golden brown, its crust perfectly woven. Zara's eyes lit up as she saw the finished product. It's beautiful. I can't believe I helped make this. Wait till you taste it, Carl said, cutting into the pie to reveal the steaming filling. They each took a slice, the warm spices mingling with the sweet apples in a symphony of flavors. Zara took her first bite, her face lighting up. It's delicious. Jack and Carl exchanged satisfied glances. Welcome to the world of Earth desserts, Zara, Jack said. As the evening wound down, the bonds formed in the kitchen were sealed over shared laughter and pie crumbs, marking the beginning of a deep, flavorful friendship. Zara's accidental bite at the festival had indeed led to a journey of delicious discovery and culinary camaraderie. After the successful culinary session at Jack's restaurant, the trio decided to meet again, this time at Jack's personal apartment, which boasted a cozy yet professional kitchen setup. The focus of today's lesson was to delve deeper into some of the more intricate and savory dishes that Earth cuisine had to offer. Carl was the first to arrive, bringing with him a bag of specialty ingredients. Thought we could use a bit of a challenge today, he said, placing the bag on Jack's kitchen island. Jack smiled, pulling out various pots and pans. What do you have in mind? I was thinking we could start with something complex, like beef Wellington, Carl suggested. It's not only delicious, but also a test of patience and precision. As they were discussing the plan, the doorbell rang. Jack opened the door to find Zara, who was becoming more familiar with Earth's customs, holding a small basket of Zytherian spices. I thought these might add a unique twist to whatever we're cooking today, she said cheerfully. That sounds perfect, Zara. Carl just proposed making beef Wellington. Ever heard of it? Jack asked, leading her into the kitchen. Zara shook her head. No, but I'm eager to learn. Carl and Jack began explaining the process, from preparing the duxels to searing the beef. Zara listened intently, taking notes. So many steps. Earth cooking is quite detailed, she remarked. It's the details that make the dish, Carl said as he started chopping mushrooms finely. Zara joined in, carefully observing Carl's technique before trying her hand at chopping. Like this? She asked, looking up for approval. Exactly like that, Carl encouraged. You've got a good hand, steady and precise. With the duxels on the stove, Jack demonstrated how to sear the beef. High heat, quick sear on each cretted, he instructed, showing Zara how to handle the meat in the pan. The kitchen filled with the sizzling sound of searing beef, mingled with their laughter and banter. Once the beef was seared, they let it rest. Zara was tasked with spreading the duxels over the prosciutto, laid out on a stretch of cling film. So it helps to lock in the flavors and keeps everything tight and tidy when we roll it up, Jack explained. The complexity of the dish seemed to draw them closer, each step requiring cooperation and coordination. As they worked together to roll the beef tightly, their hands occasionally brushed, and smiles were exchanged, the room buzzing with a warm, friendly energy. With the Wellington in the oven, Carl suggested they make a side dish. How about a simple roasted vegetable medley? We can use some of those Etherian spices here, he said, nodding toward Zara's basket. That's a great idea, Zara agreed, retrieving her spices. These will add a bit of a kick. They worked side by side, chopping a variety of vegetables, carrots, potatoes, and bell peppers. Zara sprinkled her spices over them, explaining each one's properties and flavor profile. This one is particularly potent, so a little goes a long way, she advised, sprinkling a vibrant red powder into the mix. As the vegetables roasted and the Wellington baked, the trio sat down with a bottle of wine that Carl had brought. To new friends and new flavors, Carl toasted, raising his glass. To learning and sharing, Zara added, her glass clinking against theirs. And to food bringing people together, no matter where they come from, Jack concluded, smiling at Zara. The timer dinged, and they rose together to check on their creation. The Wellington was perfectly golden, and the aroma was irresistible. Carl expertly sliced it, revealing the juicy beef and the flavorful layers surrounding it. They served themselves, the plates a testament to their collective effort. As they tasted the first bites, Zara's expression of delight was mirrored by Jack and Carl's proud smiles. This is incredible. I've never tasted anything like it, Zara exclaimed, her voice full of genuine admiration. The spices were a brilliant addition, Jack admitted, enjoying the unique flavor profile. The evening continued with lively conversation, the shared meal deepening their connection. As they cleaned up together, the laughter and chatter lingered in the air, a clear sign of friendships that were only just beginning to bloom. After their successful venture into making beef Wellington, Jack, Carl, and Zara decided to embark on a culinary tour across Earth's diverse food landscapes. They started in New York City, a melting pot of international cuisines. As they strolled through the bustling streets, Carl pointed out various eateries, from small family-run bagel shops to high-end sushi bars. New York is like a culinary map of the world, he said, his excitement palpable. Jack led them to a renowned dim sum restaurant in Chinatown. Dim sum is all about sharing, perfect for us, he explained as they settled at a round table, the steam from bamboo baskets wafting around them. Zara was fascinated by the variety. What's this one? She asked, pointing to a basket of shrimp dumplings. Hargao, Jack replied. A classic. Try it with a bit of soy sauce and chili oil. As they shared dishes, Carl suggested, we should try creating a fusion dish that combines elements from our cultures. What do you think? Zara, enjoying a pork bun, nodded enthusiastically. I love that. We could blend Etherian spices with traditional Earth dishes. Their next stop was Little Italy, where they visited an old pizzeria. While enjoying slices of pizza, they discussed potential fusion dishes. How about a spicy Etherian herb pizza? Jack proposed, his mind already racing with possibilities. Or maybe something sweet, like a tiramisu but with a twist using Zara's spices, Carl added, scribbling ideas on a napkin. They spent the day sampling various cuisines, each stop sparking new ideas for their fusion project. As evening approached, they found themselves at a small, eclectic cafe in Brooklyn, known for its innovative desserts. Dessert is the best part of the meal, Carl declared as they sat down to coffee and cake. It's where you can really get creative with flavors. Zara was curious about the different coffee preparations. On Zither, we have a drink made from the extracts of a plant similar to your coffee, but it's more floral, she shared. That could be interesting in a dessert, Jack mused, his mind already pairing it with earth flavors. Inspired, they decided to spend the next day at Jack's kitchen, experimenting with the ideas they had gathered. The morning was spent in a flurry of activity, with each of them bringing their strengths to the table. Carl with his pastry skills, Jack with his knack for savory dishes, and Zara with her exotic spices and alien ingredients. They started with the spicy Zytherian herb pizza. Jack prepared the dough, while Carl handled the tomato sauce, adding a mix of earth herbs and Zara's Zytherian spices. Zara prepared a topping of sautéed vegetables and alien protein that resembled cheese but with a nuttier flavor. The result was a vibrant, spicy pizza that was both familiar and alien, its flavors bold and harmonious. "This is incredible," Carl said after taking a bite, his taste buds delighted by the fusion of flavors. Encouraged by their success, they moved on to dessert. They infused a classic tiramisu with Zara's floral coffee extract, layering it with mascarpone and a sponge soaked in the extract. The final touch was a dusting of cocoa mixed with a fine, sweet Zytherian powder. As they tasted their creation, the floral notes of Zara's extract brought a new depth to the tiramisu. "It's like tasting both earth and Zyther at once," Zara remarked, pleased with the outcome. Their day of culinary experimentation drew to a close with both dishes surpassing their expectations. They cleaned up, the kitchen buzzing with their enthusiastic plans for more fusion dishes. "This is just the beginning," Jack said, locking up his kitchen. "There's a whole universe of flavors out there, waiting for us to explore them together." As they left, the streets of Brooklyn were bathed in the golden hues of the setting sun, a perfect backdrop to their day of shared creativity and friendship. The culinary journey not only deepened their bond but also expanded their horizons, blending worlds one dish at a time. As their culinary explorations became more adventurous, Jack and Zara found themselves drawn not just to the flavors they created but also to each other. One evening, after a long day experimenting in the kitchen, Jack invited Zara to his apartment for a private cooking session, planning to dive deeper into Earth's traditional cooking techniques. When Zara arrived, she found Jack in the kitchen, the counters lined with ingredients for a classic French which they had discussed wanting to try coq au vin. "Ready to tackle a bit of French cuisine?" Jack greeted her with a warm smile. Zara, removing her coat, nodded with enthusiasm. "I've been looking forward to this all day." Jack handed her an apron, and they started preparing the ingredients. As they worked, the kitchen filled with the rich aroma of sautéing onions and simmering wine. The cozy setting and the shared task brought them closer, their movements around the kitchen synchronizing naturally. "So why coq au vin?" Zara asked, watching Jack as he expertly browned the chicken pieces. "It's a dish that's all about patience and letting the flavors develop over time, kind of like a good relationship," Jack replied, giving her a meaningful look. Zara laughed, a soft, melodious sound. "Is that so? Well then, it's the perfect choice for tonight." As the dish simmered, Jack decided to show Zara how to make a proper French baguette. They mixed the dough together, Jack guiding her hands through the flour. Their fingers brushed, sending a gentle spark through them both. "This needs to rise for a bit. It's all about the slow build, giving it time to reach its full potential," Jack explained, covering the bowl with a cloth. With the main dish and bread underway, they moved to the living room with a bottle of wine to let the meal cook. Sitting on the couch, their conversation deepened, straying from food to personal dreams and past experiences. Zara spoke of Zyther, her eyes glowing with the love for her home. "It's very different from Earth, but there's a beauty in the unfamiliar, isn't there?" "There is," Jack agreed, his gaze locked on her face. "And I'm finding I enjoy discovering new things, especially with someone who sees the world like you do." As they talked, Jack couldn't help but be drawn to the way the light caught in Zara's silver hair. Eventually, he reached out, tucking a stray lock behind her ear. The touch lingered, both of them feeling the weight of the moment. Zara's breath caught, and she turned slightly, her face inches from Jack's. "Jack, He didn't let her finish. Closing the distance, Jack kissed her gently. The kiss was tentative at first, but as Zara responded, it deepened, becoming more assured. They pulled back after a moment, breathless. That was Zara started. Long overdue, Jack finished for her, his hand still caressing her face. They returned to the kitchen to check on the coq au vin, their movements around each other now charged with a new energy. The baguette was ready to bake, and they worked together to shape the loaves, their sides touching frequently. As they ate, the conversation turned lighter again, but the air between them was charged with an unspoken agreement that something significant had changed. So the coq au vin was delicious, the flavors rich and comforting, much like the new bond forming between them. After dinner, they cleaned up together, their touches more intentional, a silent dance of mutual attraction and understanding. The night ended with Zara staying over, not wanting to part ways, and Jack was only too happy to oblige. In the quiet of the night, with Zara asleep beside him, Jack felt a profound sense of connection. It wasn't just about the food anymore, it was about the person he shared it with, and he knew this was only the beginning of their journey together. Following their intimate evening, Jack and Zara continued to explore both their culinary passions and their growing relationship. However, their budding romance faced its first real test during the climax of the food festival, where both were to showcase their fusion dishes to the public. As the festival buzzed around them, Jack busied himself in the communal kitchen, the pressure to perform well making him unusually tense. Carl, noticing his friend's distracted demeanor, approached with a concerned look. "Everything all right, Jack? You seem a bit off today," Carl observed, as he adjusted his chef apron. Jack sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know, Carl. I guess I'm just nervous about today." Carl clapped him on the shoulder. "You'll do great. You always do. Where's Zara? Isn't she helping us set up?" Jack glanced around, his brow furrowing when he saw Zara across the room, laughing with another chef, a tall, charismatic man from another visiting alien delegation. Jealousy flared unexpectedly within him. "Yeah, she's around," he muttered, his voice tight. Unnoticed by Jack, Carl followed his gaze. "Ah, that's just Theo. He's harmless, man. Came a long way to learn about Earth's cuisine, just like Zara." Jack tried to shake off his unease but couldn't quite dismiss the knot in his stomach. He watched as Theo leaned closer to Zara, handing her a tasting spoon with a smile. The scene stoked the embers of jealousy even more. "I need some air," Jack said abruptly, leaving Carl to handle the final preparations. Outside, Jack tried to calm himself, taking deep breaths of the crisp air. His mind, however, replayed the scene over and over, each loop feeding his doubts. When he returned, he was quieter, more withdrawn, his usual enthusiasm dampened. Zara noticed his change in demeanor immediately. "Jack, is something wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with concern as she caught up to him backstage. "Is there something going on with you and that guy, Theo?" Jack's voice was colder than he intended, his words sharper. Zara recoiled, taken aback. "Theo, he was just asking about the spices we used in our fusion dish. Why would you think that there's something going on?" Jack's frustration boiled over. "I don't know, Zara. It just seemed a bit cozy, that's all." Zara's expression hardened, hurt by his implication. "I thought you knew me better than that, Jack. I'm here with you, or not?" Their exchange was cut short as Carl appeared, looking between them with a frown. "Hey, we're about to start. Everything okay here?" Zara nodded stiffly, her usual warmth gone. "Everything's fine, Carl. Let's just focus on the presentation." The tension between Jack and Zara carried into their presentation, their interactions forced and smile strained. The audience, oblivious to the undercurrents, applauded their fusion cuisine, praising the innovative blend of flavors. After the presentation, Carl pulled Jack aside. "What was that all about, man? You two looked like you were about to implode." Jack exhaled deeply, regret beginning to seep in. "I messed up, Carl. I let jealousy get the better of me, and I hurt her." Carl eyed him seriously. "You need to fix this, Jack. Zara's one of the good ones." Jack nodded, the weight of his mistake settling on his shoulders. He found Zara packing up their station, her movements brisk and detached. "Zara, can we talk?" he asked, his voice softening. Zara paused, then set down the utensil she was holding. "What's there to talk about, Jack?" If you don't trust me, then, I do trust you. I'm sorry, Jack interrupted, earnestness in his eyes. I let my insecurities get the best of me, and that's on me, not you. Can you forgive me? Zara looked at him, her expression softening. I need some time, Jack. Today was supposed to be about our achievements, not petty jealousies. Jack nodded, understanding the fairness of her request. Take all the time you need. I'll be here, ready to make things right, he promised. As they packed up in silence, Jack realized the depth of his feelings for Zara. He knew he would do whatever it took to mend the rift between them, hopeful that their shared passions could help bridge the gap his doubts had created. The days following the festival were tense and quiet. Jack, filled with regret over his outburst, gave Zara the space she requested, focusing on his work in the kitchen to distract himself from his troubled thoughts. Meanwhile, Carl, ever the peacemaker, decided it was time to intervene and help his friends mend their relationship. Carl visited Jack at his restaurant during a slow afternoon. You've been moping around like it's the end of the world, Carl remarked as he watched Jack meticulously organize his pantry. It feels like it might be, Jack confessed, not looking up from the spices he was arranging. Carl leaned against the counter, crossing his arms. You know, Zara hasn't been herself either. She's been avoiding our usual hangouts. I think it's time you guys talked it out. Jack sighed, knowing Carl was right. I know, I just don't want to make things worse. I really messed up, Carl. Sometimes making things right starts with facing up to the mess, Carl advised. Why don't you invite her over? Cook something together. It always helped you two connect. Taking Carl's advice to heart, Jack sent Zara a message, inviting her to his apartment for dinner, under the pretense of wanting to try a new recipe he had been working on. To his relief, she accepted. When Zara arrived that evening, the atmosphere was initially awkward. Jack had prepared all the ingredients beforehand, hoping to ease them into the comfort of their usual routine. Thanks for coming, Jack started, as he handed Zara an apron. I've been working on something new. Thought you might like to help. Zara nodded, a tentative smile appearing. Sure, what are we making? Something I know you'll love, Zetherian spice-infused earth risotto. It's a fusion, blending both our worlds, Jack explained, showing her the array of spices and ingredients laid out. As they began to cook, the familiar rhythm of chopping and stirring slowly eased the tension between them. Jack took the opportunity to speak his heart. Zara, about the festival, I'm truly sorry. I was wrong to doubt you, and even worse to make you feel questioned in front of everyone. Zara paused, measuring her words. Jack, when I came to Earth, everything was so new, so overwhelming. The one thing that felt right was our friendship, and then something more. When you doubted me, it hurt because I thought I had lost that one sure thing. Jack met her gaze, his expression earnest. I know I can't take back what I said, but I can promise it won't happen again. I care about you, Zara, more than I've admitted before. I want to make this right. Zara softened, her actions slowing as she absorbed his words. I care about you too, Jack. That's why it was so painful. But seeing you now, hearing this, it helps. Encouraged, Jack dared to close the space between them, taking her hand in his. Let me show you every day how much you mean to me. Zara smiled, the warmth returning to her eyes. I'd like that. They continued cooking, the risotto requiring constant attention, which kept them close, allowing them to rebuild the intimacy that had been bruised. As they sat down to eat, Zara brought up the moment that started it all. Do you remember the first day of the festival, when I accidentally bit your dessert? That small mistake brought me so much more than a new taste it brought me to you. Jack laughed, the sound mingling with genuine relief. Yeah, I remember. Alien girl accidentally bit my dessert and ignited an unquenchable passion. This sounds like a headline from a cosmic tabloid. They both laughed, the sound marking the mending of fences. After dinner, as they cleaned up together, the ease of their earlier friendship restored a sense of hope. Jack knew they still had more to work through, but he also knew they were both committed to making it work. As Zara left that night, she turned to Jack with a sincere smile. Let's keep exploring, on Earth and beyond. Together. Jack nodded, feeling like the luckiest man on the planet, or any planet, for that matter. Together, he agreed, already looking forward to their next culinary and personal adventure. The reconciliation between Jack and Zara not only healed old wounds but also reignited their shared passion for culinary exploration. With their relationship stronger than ever, they embarked on their most ambitious project, yet a fusion cafe that combined the best of Earth and Zetherian cuisines. On opening day, the cafe buzzed with excitement, with Carl and other friends and food enthusiasts gathered to celebrate the grand opening. As Jack and Zara prepared for the rush, Carl stepped into the kitchen, his face beaming with pride. "Look at you two, turning a little kitchen experiment into this beautiful place. I'm telling you, this cafe will be a hit." Jack smiled, adjusting his chef's hat. "We couldn't have done it without your support, Carl. This place is a testament to all the flavors and friendships we've built." Zara, arranging the last of her Zetherian spice blends on the counter, nodded in agreement. "Each dish here tells the story of our journey. I can't wait to share it with everyone." The cafe, named Cosmic Fusion, was sleek and modern with touches of alien aesthetics, providing a unique dining experience. The menu featured items like the spicy Zetherian herb pizza and the floral Zither coffee tiramisu, which were instant hits. As the first guests arrived, Jack and Zara took their positions. Jack manned the kitchen, expertly coordinating his team, while Zara greeted the guests, her charm and enthusiasm adding to the welcoming atmosphere. One of the first customers was a food critic known for her tough reviews. She ordered their signature dish, the Zetherian spice-infused earth risotto. As she took her first bite, Jack watched nervously from the kitchen. After a moment, her stern expression softened, and she beckoned Zara over. "This risotto," she began, "is unlike anything I've ever tasted. The balance of spices and textures, it's exquisite." Zara smiled, relief visible on her face. "Thank you. It's one of the first dishes Jack and I created together. It means a lot to us." Throughout the day, the cafe remained packed, with customers raving about the unique flavors and the story behind each dish. As evening approached, Carl pulled Jack aside for a quick chat by the bar. "You've got something special here, Jack. It's not just the food, it's the heart you and Zara put into this place," Carl said, clinking his glass against Jack's. Jack looked around the bustling cafe, his eyes landing on Zara laughing with some guests. "It feels right," he admitted. "Like we're exactly where we're supposed to be." As the night wound down, the last guest departed, leaving Jack, Zara, and Carl to close up. They were tired but exhilarated by the cafe's success. Zara joined Jack by the kitchen doorway, her hand finding his. "Think we made the right choice?" "Opening this place? Definitely. But more importantly, choosing to be with you. To go through all the ups and downs, that was the best choice I ever made," Jack said, pulling her into a gentle embrace. Carl cleared his throat, pretending to wipe away a tear. "I'm not crying, you're crying," he joked, making them both laugh. "Come on, let's celebrate. Just the three of us with some leftover risotto and maybe a bottle of that fancy wine we've been saving," suggested Carl. They settled at one of the cafe tables, the soft glow of the overhead lights creating a cozy ambience. As they sipped wine and recounted the day's events, they talked about future plans for the cafe and other culinary adventures they could undertake. "To new beginnings, to cosmic fusion, and to whatever comes next," Jack toasted, raising his glass. "To new beginnings," Zara and Carl echoed, their glasses clinking in the quiet of the newly opened cafe that was already filled with memories and promises of many more to come.